Welcome everyone, Adrian Groenewald, all the way from South Africa. And of course, this is for the Global Leadership Platform, our Global Leadership Conversation 1 series and project. I've got James Brook all the way from London in the UK. He's founder of Tech Talent Solutions and an executive coach and also a business psychologist. Strong views on leadership and strong belief in technology rather. So I'm looking forward to hearing his views on our two specific questions. James Brook, welcome.
Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, so our first question that we ask all of our experts across the world is, what is the most important quality or attribute we need to develop, awaken, or improve in leaders if we are going to turn around this global leadership crisis?
So probably I'm probably going to give you two kind of aspects, in terms of what I think is most important in terms of the quality. I think first of all, trust, building strong trust with followers, because I think trust has been damaged and I think undermined through a lot of kind of I suppose leadership missteps, mismanagement and crises that have been caused by leaders. Short-termism as well, I think is something that's undermined trust as well. So I think trust is absolutely crucial. But I think the other aspect of that is, and part of building trust is about looking beyond the short-term profits and sales of the organization to creating a broader social impact. So for me, all leaders should encompass kind of much more, be more conscious about what they're doing and how that's impacting not just their local kind of community, but society more broadly, because we've got all sorts of problems, obviously, in terms of, too much plastic in the ocean. And we've got problems in terms of, obviously, the environmental kind of damage that, society is creating in terms of global warming and so forth. So there's all sorts of deforestation. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I think that leaders really need to demonstrate that they're not just thinking kind of short term, just about their own pockets or their own organization, but they're thinking kind of much more longer term in terms of sustainable societal progress, positive progress.
Okay, those are powerful. Trust and bigger picture, long-term thinking.
Positive social impact. Yeah,
positive social impact. I can ask you why. Well, I mean, you could mention 100 things if I ask you that question. Obviously, you can say also, I mean, I've had lots of different answers all over the world. So I think you've explained a bit, James, but a little bit more on why you put trust and, broader social impact at the very top of your list.
Because without trust, I don't think you can engage people properly and at a kind of a deep emotional level. I think you can engage them at a very transactional level, but you can't engage them to go kind of above and beyond and work in a purpose-based way for the organization. So for me, if I look at the best leaders I've worked with, they're able to kind of engender very high levels of trust and respect from their followers. And I think therefore for me, based on kind of all my experience and also looking at the research, trust is really kind of at the heart of great leadership. In terms of getting people to go above and beyond and exert a lot of discretionary effort on behalf of the organization. I think in terms of positive social impact, well, I have already kind of talked quite a bit about that, but we've got all sorts of, I think, social, negative social impact at the moment. And I think, we're reaching a point where things are at a crisis. I mean, over here, we're having an unprecedented heat wave in Europe at the moment. And at least, one of the factors that's been attributed to is global warming. We've got, both the Antarctic and the Arctic, we've got problems in terms of the ice melting and all the kind of the ecology and so on being unsettled and damaged. So these sorts of things, plastics in the ocean, as I said, is a big issue. So all these, there's a lot of social problems throughout the world, and I think it's incumbent upon organizations now to not distance themselves from these or just talk the right talk, but it's incumbent upon them to actually start in very much a kind of a direct way, start improving the situation. So, for example, plastics in the ocean. Where does the plastic come from? A lot of the plastic comes from, FMCG companies. Now, what are FMCG companies doing? in terms of addressing that problem. It's certainly not helped by the fact that they, putting sort of shampoos in small sachets, plastic sachets, and selling them cheaply in Asia. So it's about thinking of, better ways of doing that doesn't add to the problem, but actually resolves the problem, and not just addressing the symptoms, but actually the underlying causes. So the amount of plastic that's produced, the amount of, for instance, carbon that's emitted into the environment as well. So we've got to start looking at cleaner energies and different manufacturing methods, and so on.
James, Brook, thank you. You've made your voice known, and we want to send it out there with the others in terms of the top quality or 2 qualities that we need to develop in leaders. So my question is, how do you develop that? So if you're saying we've got to develop leaders who has the ability to gain trust and to see the broader social impact in their actions and what their business organizations are doing. Now we go out and we develop them. How do you develop me, Adrian Groenewald, as a leader to be able to build more trust? What's the essence there?
I think the essence is helping leaders, and I think there's too much focus, Adriana, on behavioral shift and skill building, and too little on mindset shift, and I think that's one of the real problems with leadership development today. So a lot of the work I do is actually around mindset shift. How will you measure your legacy? How will you measure your life? What sort of things do you want to? It's the shadow of the leader. What sort of things do you want to be saying about your leadership, and for others to be saying about your leadership, when you step into retirement and so on. So it's about getting leaders to be more conscious about, how people are viewing them, how people are viewing the organization, and what will instill higher levels of trust. Okay. And generally that's not showing them, the projections for the next quarter or for the next year or whatever the case may be, because most people I know, that doesn't particularly inspire them, unless maybe they're in investment banking and they're going to get big bonuses, at the end of the quarter or the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's getting leaders to, to understand the importance of those kind of broader issues, and to start, genuinely acting, in different ways, in terms of improving those sorts of things. So yeah, to me, it's not easy because it involves mindset shift. But if they see other people doing it and they see stories of other leaders who, like a good example I always think is like a Bill Gates, right? Yeah. Now, of course, Bill Gates has got the luxury of having made a lot of money. So a lot of skeptics can say, well, of course, he's made a lot of money, and he's reinvesting that into a lot of kind of social improvement projects around the world. But at the same time, I think he's a good role model for other leaders in terms of doing things that are going to have a genuine positive impact in society. And at the same time, potentially creating some innovations which will make more money. And so I don't think the two are necessarily misaligned. I think you can align making more money with creating kind of, improvements. So for example, I think the person who resolves the plastic in the ocean problem, or the people, the company, they're going to make a shed load of money, aren't they? Yeah. In the same way that the people who nail, like Elon Musk, who nail the clean car, problem, or the lower emission. It's not
social
clean.
Entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, yeah.
Absolutely, social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, not even who necessarily classify themselves as social entrepreneurs, but yeah, they effectively are positively impacting society through what they're doing.
All right, James, Brook, thank you so much. And right at the end, I sort of pass along an unsuspected question, because we're doing this all over the world, different cities. So just tell people what's interesting about London and UK where you live, and why must they visit? Are you in London itself?
Yeah, I'm in London. I'm in Putney, which is just down the road from Wimbledon. So that's one reason to visit. If you like tennis, you can come and stay in Putney or Wimbledon and go and watch the tennis, which has just started, and that's a great occasion. It's not just great tennis, but it's also, you know, all the strawberries and the champagne and all the trimmings, and so that's a fun way to spend a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say much more than Wimbledon for me. I mean, I'm so into the full Grand Slams, you know, and it's just so fascinating for me. I'm on top of it all the time to see what's happening. Kevin Anderson's still in it. Anyway, James Brook, thank you so much, from a founder of Tech Talent Solutions and executive coach, business psychologist. Some really good views, putting his voice out there for our Global Leadership Conversation 1, ultimately ending up on our Global Leadership platform for more conversation and discussion. And that's very simply thinkly.app if you want to join it. Thank you, James. Appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure, Adrian.